Every little thing.
7:14.
So it's kind of a lot.
So was I.
The Nick
I
guy.
still don't understand.
Looks like we might be bumping something.
All right.
I don't see the first piece, the leading piece at all.
Like you so we-
Yeah.
No, I mean, they're just not, it doesn't seem like that.
He's not gonna be here by until it come back.
It's,
Do we have, council's, should I read council's letter or just, yes?
If you don't hear the case and ever put it off to you continue it or whatever you do with it, I'd read it just, and if you read the case, that way we can save it for the next time.
Do it the next time?
Yeah.
Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna delay it until we get to the
Okay,
meeting.
okay,
right.
so.
It's
leave it
not going
until-
anywhere anyway.
What's that?
Leave it until you hear the meeting for the case.
We'll send it down. We're gonna, yes, for sure.
It's a shed.
To the next,
What's the-
both have an easement.
I would say like a month because we get this
The
so
old shed, any repairs are done by both of
May
them.
10th
Yeah.
and May,
It's an easement
to
in
accept it up.
They share it. Run through the
Is that
property.
24?
That would be
They
it.
convey it out. So-
I'm still, I just did my 6-month schedule, did you guys all get that?
Yes, we did, that was good.
Where'd you get that?
Send
I
that.
mailed them, yeah,
Right.
tentatively, until city council said, no, that's not going on.
When are we gonna get to that,
I got to being away last week.
when are we gonna get to those online plans?
I don't know. Ask
Clean,
Jay.
cleaner, greener earth.
I don't know.
We're talking about climate sustainability today.
Don't know.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is the zoning board of appeal hearing of Tuesday, April 26th. My name is Mike Cabeas. I am the vice chair, sitting in for Marty Akins, who is stuck somewhere. To my right is board member, if I can make sure I write everyone's name right, Jeff Frankel. On this side next to me is Charlie O'Brien, Russell Chin, and Brian Rodell. And our clerk is here, Doreen Murphy, and Bob. Thank you. That's how we start off, folks.
Awesome.
If you,
That's disturbing.
oh, I know, yeah. If anyone has a telephone, if you would put it on mute or turn it off, if you want to have discussions amongst yourself, you can do it out there because it's pretty noisy in here. We don't have a PA system yet, and everyone gets recorded from this little machine over here. If anybody's going to testify today, you have to do so under oath, okay? So if you all, you stand up. If you're going to testify, raise your right hand and repeat, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. All right, first piece of business is, Charlie, if you could make a motion to waive the reading of the minutes from last meeting.
April
12th.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to waive the meeting minutes from the meeting of April 12th of 2016.
Second. Second.
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So wait. For the new business, matter number 16-019, we're owning a key for a finding to change the use of a site from a lawyer's office to a glass repair company on the premises number 19-21 Copeland Street, Quincy, is the applicant or their representative here. Okay. Why don't we hold that off and come back to it? Next case, matter number 16-020, Daniel
Marcantonio.
You know Italian, I can't say Italian name, it's terrible. So variance finding to construct a second floor addition on bedroom on the premises number 46 Bird Street in Quincy. Is the applicant or their representative here?
Yes.
Constructions, state your name for the record and your address.
My name's Daniel Marcantonio. The address that we're working on is 46 Bird Street. Proposed to put a second floor addition on, which is a second bedroom. The house only has one right now. Due to the one fact we would like a two-bedroom home, and the other fact is that I need a second egress coming out the back door out of the kitchen. kitchen roof slants down so much that they put the back door over the bulkhead. So if you walk out the bulkhead, if you walk out the back door, you might fall into the bulkhead right now. So we move it over enough, we can have enough room to put a set of stairs. Staying within the same dimensions. It's not getting any wider, any higher, or anything else.
So then why are we here today? Because, well, because we're changing.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Oh,
Are you gonna do other work on the house besides the?
Yeah, so basically I'm gonna remodel the whole house. We're gonna put a new kitchen, new bathroom, we're gonna put new roof, siding, new windows. The whole place is gonna get completely renovated.
Okay.
It kinda needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This is, I'm sorry, this is an investment property, or you moving here?
It is an investment.
That's all what you done.
Yes.
do you do much business here in Quincy?
I do not.
Okay.
I do a lot of my business up at the North Shore, but this just happened and I decided to try it out. Plus, I do like the location. It is.
Good wishes at this time.
Right now?
I have none.
Okay. Have a seat. Does anybody want to speak in favor of this project?
Yeah, I do. I'm right next to her.
Okay, come on up.
Let's go back over here.
No, you can sit right there. All right. Please state your name and address for the record.
Donna Corson, 46 Bird Street.
Okay? You have it.
Well, I'm just concerned it's gonna block us in. I don't know.
This is the people in favor. Are you in favor of this? Or you?
Well, I
are
wanna
you-
know more about
I'm
it
undecided.
because it's a very quiet neighborhood.
Yeah, okay.
Have you seen the proposal at all yet?
No.
Okay. Wanna look at the
And
plan?
I have a brand new high stock gate fence. I just don't want any debris in my yard. I don't want my yard used for ladders, so,
Right, okay. Well, he wouldn't be allowed to do that anyway.
okay.
Okay. And certainly if he asks you for permission to park something, say in your house, you can
Yeah.
say yes or no, but he can't just, you know,
Right, and I don't want any debris flying in my yard either.
if he doesn't want his.
I'm very concerned over that.
Okay, all right. Do you want to take a look over here, just to write out?
Yeah, you
as-
wanna look at the plan so
Yeah.
you can see what it looks like? So you wanna explain, because you're just coming
All
off
the,
just the side here.
all the building is getting done on the opposite side of our house.
Okay.
You know, it's just like, all we're doing is building
It's
this
over here,
this
yeah.
particular addition right here.
I'm right
You know,
next to it, what do you mean?
You're over here, on this
On the
side.
left side? Yeah.
Where we're doing the addition here, on this side.
So he's just refacing the
Like on the
house.
street side?
No, on the, do you know where the kitchen was?
Yeah,
Right above the kitchen.
well, that's next door, that's,
Correct, but
Yeah.
you're still over here, no matter how you look at it. And our addition is gonna be put on over here. Don't get me wrong, we are gonna be doing siding and replacing windows and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. But I mean, and the roof is all shot,
Yes.
so the roof is gonna get replaced.
So your roof line on your side, you're not,
No, none of this
he's
will
not
get touched.
approaching on you, he's just coming over here. So, and then remodeling the interior.
Yeah.
so how
it's just-
far
'cause it's
out
all-
are you gonna go?
I'm not going out any, it's staying the exact
Same-
same size.
Same size?
Same size.
He's just building out on top where the second floor is.
Oh, building up flat?
No, no, he's just taking where the roof line is and
Yeah.
extending it over to
Yeah.
the same side of the house. So you
Correct.
know how
So
it's
the
like-
house is gonna stay the same size?
Same.
Correct, exact same
Yeah.
size.
It's just
Okay.
coming up, this is the only addition here, the second bedroom.
Squaring off the house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so
exactly.
you know how it's like, yeah, 'cause you know, you
Yeah.
live there, it's just that little
30
sliver.
years almost.
Yeah, it's just a little sliver, so they're just making it more of a, like a, I don't know what type of house you call it, a gambrel, I guess.
It's an interesting type of house. If you
So
looked at it,
the
this,
same size, the long side, the same,
everything's staying the
right?
same. This is where the kitchen
Yeah,
ceiling is over here, right? We're
Yeah.
taking that off and we're building this particular addition right here, right above it.
okay, above
And
it,
and your
okay.
house is actually over here on this
Yeah,
side.
okay.
So we're actually working over here on the right. We will be putting siding, obviously, and new
Yeah.
windows and stuff all
So the
around.
yard's gonna stay the same?
Yard's
then?
not gonna change.
I mean, there's
And
no
you're
yard
giving him the
anyway.
work?
Yes.
You're the general- so
I'm the
you-
general contractor.
I'm sure he'll leave his contact information,
Yeah.
so if there's anything that goes on, I'm sure he'll be willing.
Yeah, we're just.
Plus you have it all at the town hall.
Yeah.
You have everything you need at the town hall, so everything's right there, so. And I'm gonna be there every day working.
And you guys
It's not
can
like I
discuss
said
this
that.
after the hearing too.
Beg your pardon?
We can, you
Change
guys,
numbers and stuff.
yeah, you can talk about this after the hearing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so,
Okay?
Does that answer those questions?
Yeah. well,
Yeah.
don't crap.
Anybody else want to speak in favor? Come on up.
No. So I'm all done, I can leave.
You sit down, or did you have any other questions?
No,
All right.
I'm done. Thank you.
You'd say your name.
Thank you.
Well, first, can I ask if I can speak on behalf of my daughter? She is a resident. She's at 43 Bird Street, and she's not able to attend today. She has a work event that she's doing. So, my name's Kristen Parlon. I live in Boston at 8 East Warren Street. And I'm
What
speaking-
street?
8 East Warren Street.
Okay.
And I'm speaking on behalf of my daughter, Jessica Parlon. She just bought the house across the street at 43 Bird Street back in September. So she wrote a note just saying, as a resident of 43 Bird Street, I live right across the from the property. I'm writing today in full support of the proposed addition on the property. The property is in dire need of remodeling. By granting approval, you will increase the aesthetic of an already beautiful neighborhood. When I bought my house last fall, I had hopes that someone would turn the rundown property across the street from me into a house that someone would be proud to call home. By granting approval, you will be providing all that and more. I ask that you please vote for approval. Thank you, Jessica Parlon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we have any correspondence?
No comment from DPW.
And is anyone else opposed or undecided? Once, twice, 3 times, that's why the hearing closed. Well, the house is in tough shape. I think the changes here, besides the making the place look a lot better, is really kind of minimal because you're just squaring it look. You're not going any
Correct.
higher. You're not going out anymore. So I think I'm in favor of this. What do you think?
Oh, that's, is
I
that,
agree, the house is in bad shape, needs to be redone. I'm sure this will, if your if your neighbor across the street is all for it, not going any wider, not going any higher, and I think it's a benefit for the neighborhood, and I'm in favor of it.
okay, before I state, Mr. Chin has a question.
Okay.
Mr. Marcantonio,
Yes,
what is the structure directly behind the house? Is that another
it's
house?
actually another house.
And you have a shared driveway with it?
No, his, like I pointed out to you, I think his driveway runs right down here, and he parks here, and we have a small driveway right over
Oh,
here.
your driveway is not shown here, but it's here.
Yes, that's correct.
And it's for how many cars can you fit in your driveway?
Probably one, and one in front of the house, so you probably could get 2 small cars.
One in front of the house and one
One-
off, 2 off street or one on?
No, one would fit in the driveway,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could put one right in front. There, so
So this is-
you needed just.
Yeah, you can see it here, they have it. It's kind of like offset. It's almost like curved.
Yeah, exactly.
On the curb, yeah. So it'll be 2 parking spaces, 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, like the butters have said, that I appreciate the investment and dressing it up. That's a shabbiest looking house on the street.
It is.
I appreciate the effort to make it much nicer and clean it up. I'll probably be voting in favor.
Who's voting in favor?
I'm in favor.
Have a motion? Mr. LeBlanc.
Mr. Chairman, regarding case number 16-020, Daniel Marcantonio for a variance finding to construct a second floor addition for a bedroom on the premises number 46 Bird Street, Quincy. I'd like to make a motion to grant the requested variance and finding.
Second?
Second.
All those, on the motion, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, 16-021, Gary Dennison Jr. for a special permit floodplain variance finding to demolish the existing single-family dwelling and construct a new 2.5-story single-family dwelling on the premises number 125 Dorchester Street, Quincy. Is the petitioner on his counsel there?
Mr. Chairman, good evening. For the record, Christopher Harrington, my law office is at 21 McGrath Highway, and I represent Gary Jennison, who is the owner of the property.
I think that.
Just different color, right?
It's like changing colors.
Fresh copy.
No, right?
The blue was a little too blue. Again, I'm here representing Gary Jennison, the owner of this home. He purchased the home approximately 5 months ago, last summer, with the intention of taking the house down and building a brand-new home for himself and his 2 children. We're here asking for a special permit floodplain. This property is in a flood zone. It's a non-conforming lot, and it's a building with non-conforming setbacks, so we're asking for a finding to alter the non-conformances that already exist on the property. And we're asking for one variance which relates to the deck, which is on the back of the house, off the kitchen. This property is in a mapped flood zone. One of the, I think, interesting things about this property is that where the new flood map that everyone's waiting for, that's supposed to correct a lot of problems, is actually going to make this house a foot worse than it is now. So the house is designed a foot higher than it needs to be today, so that assuming that FEMA map gets adopted, the house will still be high enough to be above the base flood elevation. Usually when you renovate or add on to a single-family home, a lot of those projects are exempt from the floodplain special permit. In this case, the ground coverage is increased just over 25%, and so we need the floodplain special permit for this project. The lot area is non-conforming, the frontage of the lot is non-conforming. What we have on this house is we're using the special provisions that are in the ordinance for reconstruction of non-conforming single-family homes, where the proposed extension falls in line with the existing non-conforming structure, does not encroach any more into required rear yard or side yard. Proposed extension doesn't encroach any further into required front yard. What we've done is we've taken the 3.7-foot setback on the left-hand side, and we've maintained that with a 3.8-foot setback. We've maintained the 10.1-foot setback on the right-hand side, kept that at 10.2, and we've also maintained the 9.4-foot setback on the rear, and kept the back corner of the house, 19.4, and kept the back of the house at that point. The newest part of the house is coming forward. This house was set back 31 feet from the street, so the new house is coming right up to the 25-foot line in the front. So we don't have a front yard setback variance for the front yard of the house, but the house is bigger because it now comes further forward on the lot. The dimensional variance I mentioned is for the deck. This house is set up with, the existing house has a full finished basement. This is a flood zone, full finished basement is not allowed in a flood zone, so the basement is going away. So now all the living areas on the first floor, second floor, and then the half floor in the attic. On the first floor of the house, there are 2 bedrooms and a full bathroom for his children. There's a storage room because the house no longer has a cellar or an attic, and all of the utilities, the laundry room, and all of the mechanicals for the house are on the first floor. The second level of the house is the living room, dining room, and kitchen. So the deck that's on the back of the house comes off the second level of the deck. The existing deck is approximately 5 feet away from the property line, but that deck is at ground level. This deck is also approximately 5 feet off the property line, 4.9 feet, but it's on the second level of the house. So that's a significant change from the deck that was on the ground that's there right now. So we need a variance for that deck. All of the other dimensional nonconformances on the house all fall within the protected parameters of pre-existing nonconforming. The side yards aren't any worse, the back yards aren't any worse, and it's a 35-foot tall house and 2.5 stories. So today, we're here asking you for a finding that it's not substantially more detrimental than what's already there. The house that's there now is a single-family home. We're proposing a single-family home. The house that's there now is a 3-bedroom. We're proposing a 3-bedroom. We're adding 1 additional parking space in the back of the house to get 1 more car off the street. That's the space that's underneath the deck. That's another reason why the deck is up at the level where it is. And again, it's a 2.5-story house. It's 35 feet tall. So with the exception of that deck, we haven't created any new nonconformances that aren't already there with the existing house. We're taking down an old house that was built in the early 1900s. I'm going to replace it with a much more valuable and much nicer modern home for Mr. Jennison and for his children. I think that's essentially what we have. If you have any questions about the plans, we'd be happy to, we've got the site plan as well as the architectural plans. This is the, this house has a shared driveway with the neighbor to the right-hand side. So we're not altering this driveway at all. It's going to be left basically exactly as it is. The driveway comes right up this, between the two lot lines to this point, and then turns off to the left to go to a parking space in the garage on our property, and turns off to the right to go to a couple of parking spaces for this property. The extra space that we're proposing back here would be under the deck, just to, again, to get one more car off the street. This area here where this space is going is going to be done with pavers so that it's a pervious surface, and so the water will be able to just drain directly into that area. So the amount of runoff from the driveway won't change at all from the existing conditions.
What's the surface of the driveway now? The shared driveway?
I don't know the total square footage of the
No, I
driveway.
mean, was it?
It's asphalt.
Yeah.
It's paved. And so this is the, so this is the first floor. The kids' bedrooms are in front, full bathroom, stairs upstairs, laundry room, mechanical room, and a storage room. And these are the main floors of the house right here. The lower level for the kids, the living room with the deck overlooking Boston, kitchen, dining room, and then a master bedroom on the top floor with a full bathroom and a walk-in closet for Mr. Jennison. And that's what we expect the house to look like.
Now, so the garage that's there now, does it stay there?
Yes.
As is, no interchange.
So you have two, when you say you have two spaces now, is that garage counted as one?
Yes.
So there's a space in the garage, there's a space in front of the garage right now,
Yes.
and they're gonna stay.
Yes.
Is there, when you say 35, you know, you have this drawing here, and I see this little tiny house next to it. I just get concerned that, you know, I know you can go up to 35, but do you have to go up to 35?
On this house we do because we have to lift the first floor about 3 feet out of the ground to get above the floodplain elevation.
Any questions?
No, not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Couple of questions. if I
Go
may.
ahead.
So what are the ceiling heights inside the house? You have to go up 3 feet? If you're keeping the 35-foot cap, and you're going up 3 feet on the ground, what are your ceiling heights interior?
Yes, this is, the main floor has 9-foot ceilings. The attic has 9-foot ceilings, but that to about this point. And the lower level, I think it's 8-foot ceilings.
It's 8 1/4, 9 1/4, 9.
So it says 8 foot, 9, 9.
And another question I have is this turret in the back, is that also capped at 35 feet? This over here.
Your back corner.
Back corner.
Yeah, the tip of it is slightly higher. That's considered a bay window, and the tower is exempt from the dimensional requirements for the house. It's just an architectural feature for the house. There's no living space out there.
I understand. This looks higher than, as Mr. Riddell said, it looks higher to him than the rest of the house, and we weren't sure whether it was because of the perspective of the photographer.
Probably is
Whether it
about
is
2 feet taller.
It is 2 feet higher. And does it have to be 2 feet higher for design purposes or for use purposes?
There's no living space in it, it's only a roof.
So, in other words, the roof could come down?
It could be shorter, it could be in line with the ridge line on the main roof.
That would be nice.
I would just want them to, everybody is concerned about, being able to take a peek at the water and so forth. But yeah, I can understand being at 35 feet, if you're at 37, 38, you know, but you don't have to be. Might be nice for your neighbors as a gesture. I'm not telling you how to design your house, but it's just saying that.
Mr. Riddell.
Is there, have we, I've never seen a parking space underneath that. Do we allow that? Is that,
Carport.
yeah, the carport aspect? I've never seen one.
We have in the
Allow them
past.
unattached.
Yeah,
We've got unattached, which is, you know.
yeah. I mean, I've seen a couple houses that way, but I've never sat on a case where we approved one, so I was just wondering.
It's acceptable.
It's acceptable, okay.
Thank you.
That's what I was looking for. I have no other questions at this time.
In the space underneath it, that's gonna be the impervious, the pervious stone that you're gonna use under
Yeah,
that
it's gonna be
deck?
done with driveway pavers.
Okay, so it's gonna match up with, well, it
So-
won't match up with the asphalt, actually, just gonna be,
It won't, so when it rains, the rain that lands there will soak into the ground, and it won't add to the amount of water that's running down the driveway.
the intention is to park the car there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Franco?
I have no other questions.
Okay. Guys, want to sit down?
Thank you.
Anyone want to speak in favor of the project? In favor, going once, going twice, going three times, for that part of the hearing over. We have a letter from DPW. We reviewed the submittal of the above referenced project, and our comments are as follows. One, specify how much impervious area will be increased due to the development. Explain how the surface runoff will be discharged and treated. Install survey monuments to delineate the public right-of-way. The monuments shall be set by a professional land surveyor. Provide dimensions and grades for the paving area at all driveway entrances. Dorchester Street was repaved in 2015, and therefore, a street opening permit may not be issued until 2020. Upon completion of the project, as-built plans showing all utilities, building footprints, reference bounds, and benchmarks defining the total site, facilities, and right-of-way need to be submitted along with a digital file. The as-built plan shall be stamped and signed by a professional land surveyor or professional engineer.
Thank you.
So, anybody want to speak opposed or undecided? Step right on up and give us your name and address.
I'm Bob Johnson. I own the abutting property at 11 Shoreham Street. And we had a very nice presentation roughly a week ago, maybe a little bit more, where we were made very aware of the way the property was going to be developed. And that was very nicely done. At the time, my understanding was that the deck was going to be conforming to whatever the current rules were. Right now, there is a deck that is at ground level, and this will basically just bring it up. But 5 feet, or 5 feet and small change is very close to my property line. With the car parked underneath and everything else. So at this point, I'm not necessarily opposed, but I certainly am undecided. I really don't know enough about how that plays out, but I do have a concern that it's basically right, very close to my property line. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else opposed or undecided? Once, twice, three times? Counselor, want to come up and say something? If you don't want to, you don't have to.
I just want to relate to the board that we did hold a meeting on the community meeting on the 14th, and the Johnsons and who are here tonight expressed their concerns, so they should be heard. But with that, that's basically all I can say at this point. The other folks who were, it was a good attendance at the meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you. Counselor, so does it have to be 5 feet wide? Or whatever it is, from the line, 5 feet from the line? I mean, I know it has to be big enough to put the car go under.
The car has to be at least 5 feet away from the house for fire protection. And a parking space is 9 by 18, so the deck would have to be at least 14 feet in order to get the car under the deck, as well as have to be at least 5 feet away from the door and the windows on the back of the house. Gary, do you know the dimension of the deck?
Council, you said the current deck is at ground level and 5 feet from the property line now?
Yes. The deck is 15 by 14.6. I mean, it could be made slightly smaller, but only maybe a foot. What we could do on this, I know that Mr. Johnson had mentioned that there's a fence on the back property line that's damaged, and he asked us about replacing that when the project's finished, and we said that we're happy to do that, to replace the section of the fence that's been banged up that's on the back of our property line with the same type. It's not our fence, is that your? It's your fence. To replace that section with the same type of fence that's there now, so that it all matches, it's the same style. So we're planning on replacing that fence section is there. We could also, we could make this deck a foot smaller, so it's just big enough to get the car under it, which would make it 6 feet away instead of 5 feet. But we could also put maybe like lattice treatment along this side of the deck, so you can't see the car.
You can see the car.
You don't see the car underneath the deck.
Okay. I like that.
And the fence that runs along the back is a 6-foot fence, so the fence is going to be higher than the roof of the car anyway.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, what do you think?
I'm pretty much, again, undecided. I'm just a little concerned that it's kind of going to be a gallery over our yard. I'm less concerned about the car because, as was pointed out, we do currently have a 6-foot fence. And irrespective of whether we fix it or whether they fix it, it's going to end up being a 6-foot fence to go over the rest of the area that fits in.
Yeah.
So part of what I'm not sure about is what normally from your experience, what would be the normal expectation for setback for something like this, where it's a raised area, it's not necessarily you're building the building up to the limit.
Well, what you have here is, what we look at is that all these property lines or lots are non-conforming to begin with. So, you couldn't just build your house anymore, or my house, in the city as it is, without coming here and having some sort of relief. But you know what? Mr. Frankel has a comment that I think I want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I'll apologize in advance. I didn't quite gather from the photos and from looking at this that deck was going up in the air like it is. It looks, from the pictures, it looks like it's very narrow, and I didn't quite assimilate it. I would like to go out and take another look at where it is at the height that it's going to be in comparison to Mr. Johnson's property, and kind of get a more educated perspective as to what's going on, rather than vote for or against it at this point, because without doing that, I probably would not be in favor, and I'm not saying that's where I'm going. I just want to see what it looks like with that height in my head compared to his house.
I have to say, in fairness, this is a great project. The current house is, even though it's going up, and there's nobody that I'm aware of that's going to lose any view or any of that. It's going to be a beautiful house. It looks much better than what's going to go there now. My only concern is that I have a yard right there.
No, I agree, it's a beautiful, what belongs there, but I want to make sure, there's really two parties here that are having to make each other happy. And that's, I want to make sure that, you're still saying you're not exactly decided. I want to make sure that you're
decided, or that you're not gonna be, and that we just make our decision, and that's fine if that's the way it is. But I'd like to take a look at it perspective-wise and see if I think it's reasonable, not reasonable, or entitled to relief.
And I would be comfortable, again, I have no experience in this area. It's just that it seems like it's gonna be awful close. So if it could be set back further, I'd be more happy. But if it's something that you feel is consistent with the rest of the, what you've done with the rest of the city, or in some of your other experience, then I would be okay with it. I mean, I'm glad the house is going in. I think it's a good thing. I certainly don't want to throw a brick.
Okay,
into
I
it.
think,
We understand.
we understand that, and I think the difference is, I think what I'm interested in is I've looked at the property from this way, and I did not look at it or consider exactly where your perspective is. And so I think I would like to see it from your perspective. And so, if it's possible, come back.
See a bunch of old guys walking around in your backyard, you know what it is.
You don't shoot us.
Well, I have to say one other point.
Okay.
I'm a beekeeper. I have beehives. I have 3 beehives that'll be there until the 1st of June, and then they're gone.
No, wait a minute, you had no.
Is the,
This is now,
You're gonna enjoy that deck.
this is now an investment property.
I know the area intimately.
Yeah.
It's my neighborhood. And I know the Johnsons as well. Is the concern privacy, is it noise?
It's more privacy.
So if
I'm
we-
very, very comfortable having met him before.
Yeah.
That this is not, before, just to give you a feel for it, before we had a family that was, I have to say on the other, just in fairness, was rough.
Yeah.
There were occasional screaming matches back there. Their kids are the ones that destroyed the fence.
Yeah.
Not his, but the family that was pretty.
Well, you got young ones, they're growing up, watch out.
Like rocky kids that they put up with this thing and so on. So anyway, so it was not the best of situations. I am absolutely convinced that this will be a much better situation. So,
And in fairness, and just in fairness in terms of time, and I understand the concerns of the board, but if it was like, if the lattice work was on the deck, if the back of the deck had a 5-foot lattice that, so if people are sitting there, they're not looking over at your property.
that would be very.
Would that be just as acceptable? I'm just in the interest of, it would delay him another 6 weeks to build if we have to push it off, so.
I would be comfortable with something like that.
I think that, just knowing the property, Mr. Johnson's house and just to the other board members is on the other side. It's really his yard that it overlooks. And there's some big trees, still right there.
There's one big tree, there used to be 3.
Yeah.
But over time, all but one has been taken down. So there's one that's on the corner. My understanding is it's not, it's almost evenly split between an adjoining property and his property.
Oh, it's
No,
okay.
it's not,
George.
it's not on my property.
Okay.
It's Alice Gorey.
Okay, yeah, right behind it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's split between, so, there is one big tree, but I don't think that that's gonna be a factor.
Okay. Yeah, I'm missing a lot of decks with the lattice on, the neighboring decks now. I got friends who have
Well,
deck 8
the
feet.
question is, I think, board members, is do we want to push this off to the next meeting, or do we want to vote today?
It's up to, if Jeff wants to.
No, if Mr. Johnson is satisfied with what's been discussed, and he's happy, then, I'm not gonna get it.
I would be comfortable.
That I'm fine.
Council Harrington? Is that acceptable?
have some, 5 feet lattice. Your view's up front anyways.
Right. But still,
I was trying to address my neighbor's concern about the shared driveway.
Okay.
And that was the purpose of it.
To get another car off.
Yes, I was trying to convenience him by giving him and his wife comfort that I wasn't gonna have cars blocking his access. This was meant as a convenience to the neighborhood, all of this. It's kind of what, it's what, pretty much every decision we've made has been to not have any struggle with anyone related to this. So this was the most creative way that we could come up with to try to, I guess the concern didn't come up, but just to try to address, the parking issue was to have something to park on.
You okay with the lattice on the deck?
I think if that gets my neighbor comfortable, then I think that's a reasonable compromise to get everyone comfortable.
All right, why don't we go to that?
Okay.
Right. And I think that, in my opinion, if we get this worded right, except we're all over the place here, I would be in favor of this.
Same.
And just drop that top, drop the back easel down, whatever, to in line with the regular roof line. That's-
Yes,
I'd be
yes.
comfortable with that.
Is that 2 feet?
Or whatever, just where, in line with the roof. Chris is gonna be mad. Saved him another meeting.
But he's happy.
His client would be sad.
Now, Mr. Johnson's at the rear, right? Is that where you want?
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
I'm at the
rear left side.
Left.
Yeah.
Yeah, realize.
okay, ready?
I am.
Okay?
Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Chairman, regarding case 16-021, Gary A. Jennison Jr. for a special permit, floodplain, variance, finding to demolish the existing single-family dwelling and construct a new 2.5-story family dwelling on the premises numbered 125 Dorchester Street, Quincy. I make a motion to grant the requested variances, permits, and floodplain findings, with the condition that the tower is to be equal with the roof line in height, and that a lattice is to be on the rear left side of the deck, 6 foot high. Is that okay?
Second?
Right.
My motion, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Guys are all set. Democracy at work.
No, nobody else came in.
So,
You want to put it to me and reach out? She does, that needs to change.
So, guys, why don't we need to make a motion for 16. Gentlemen, we have to have a motion for 16-019. We're going to put it off till May.
You got it.
Okay,
Fire away.
I just made that motion. Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
I'll try and contact the applicant tomorrow, I don't know why she's not here.
And you should reach out to Tom.
Jeff, I wasn't trying
Um,
to.
No, I'm fine, so I didn't want him to feel like he was getting steamrolled.
Yeah, no.
And I didn't really see it when I looked at the drawing.
I'll explain that.
Next case, 16-022. Paulette Chevalier for a variance to attach a 2-story garage to the existing house at the street line of the premises number 153 Bayside Road in Quincy.
Good evening, board members. For the record, Steve DeRoche, the Ponce Valley Survey Associates, our offices are at 95 Lloyd Street here in the city of Quincy. I'm here this evening representing my client, Ms. Paulette Chevalier. We purchased this property, something on the order of 8 to 10 months ago. Ms. Chevalier would like to do a complete renovation of the inside of the structure. And there is practically no parking on the lot right now as it stands. She would like to put a 2-car garage attached to the house on the Huckins Ave side. The garage would be 26 feet up Huckins Ave and 24 feet deep. The garage will also have a second floor. The second level would be strictly for storage and a small office she'd like to have there. Again, the proposed garage being attached to the house, there is going to be access from both levels of the garage into the house. There's by no means going to be any kind of a unit or anything like that. And again, basically proposing this so she can get a couple of cars off the street into the garage. My last mention is the fact that I've been told that over the past couple of months we've had interim counselor and everything over in Ward 6. But she has gone around to all the neighbors, and they're all in favor of this proposal. Now, again, that's what I've been told, all right? So,
Are you on the oath?
yes, I am. Do you have any answer, any questions that anybody may have relative to this proposal?
I'm always concerned about putting something right on the street. You know, I understand that you could argue perhaps that's a unique neighborhood, a unique situation. And, you know, neighbors aren't complaining about it. I'm all in favor of taking cars off the street. I know no one in that neighborhood is looking at the garage, they're looking at the water.
Not really.
Not really?
No, I mean, if they're up the street on her side,
Yeah.
they're looking at her house. So
Okay.
they're gonna be looking at her garage, okay? If they're across the street, they're looking down the street, they're not gonna even see her garage.
Yeah.
I don't believe
Okay.
that anybody's view is going to be.
Yeah, and that street's pretty steep.
Yeah, it is pretty steep, I saw that, yeah. Any questions for the applicant?
Could you explain this garage, the one that's?
Yeah, that's part of the property. There was a two-car garage there supposedly, and half the garage is on her property, half is on the abutter's property. And it is practically impossible to get to.
Yeah, because I couldn't figure out how.
Yeah, you can walk to it.
Is it stored? Is there anything in
Maybe
it?
the lawnmowers and whatever else have you were in there?
I mean, is it in structurally good shape?
No.
Okay.
So,
Will they be taking it down?
Well, it's
I'm sorry?
shared ownership.
Oh, share ownership, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We had this discussion when we approved the one on the bottom of Hawkins and Bayside there.
Yeah.
We were talking about that, we talked about the same garage, and the old access was from, I think it was from Hawkins.
Right.
Yeah, but now you can't.
But
get there.
the owner of this property can't get to that garage with a car.
I don't believe so, no. It's very difficult. Maybe a motor scooter or something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? for the
Question,
applicant?
Steve, is, you're gonna be heating and cooling the space above the garage?
Is the space above the garage a part of the house?
It's actually for the garage, and it's going to be, let's say, ancillary to the use in the house. As again, you're going to be able to go from the second floor of the house right into the office storage space. I believe it is going to be heated. It would be kind of stupid to have some storage and office space there and not have it heated. And again, all the renovations that are being proposed in the house, I'd be very surprised if they weren't going to bring something in there.
So you know, garage will be heated, cooled, and insulated and all that stuff, the windows and so forth.
So maybe we'll be calling it really, the garage is on the bottom and this is just additional living space.
You know, where people put stuff in the garage, you know,
I have nothing
she
but
can
stuff.
at least put it on the second floor and have the garage as a garage, if you will.
Okay. Mr. Rideout?
I got no questions at this time. I mean, I'd love to see that garage in the back come down.
Yeah, yeah.
Opposite.
Frank? Frank? Jesus, I get your name wrong.
Jeff.
Just love you.
Why is the garage coming out what appears to be 3 feet closer to Orchard than the house line?
Well, because you're gonna drive in right off the street into, again, you're seeing the garage there at the street line and not the actual paved line,
No sidewalk there.
okay? There is no sidewalk there.
So where are the doors gonna be? At the house line or at the street line?
Be at the street line, yeah. I believe they're going to be like two doors that just, you know, roll up, they roll up doors.
Yeah. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Anybody want to speak in favor?
What is our requirement on that? Is there anything?
As far as what?
Street line and sticking out of the garage.
No, residents say you're allowed to park. I mean, it is the parking, so
Yeah.
typically it's open, but in this case it's a closed parking.
Okay.
No setback.
Okay.
Same idea, yeah.
If they want to put a park there, so there you go. So that's what the variance was for, right down there, living space in front, 25 feet. And it's a-
So the other one that we,
Separate unit.
the other one that we just did on Hawkins, if you remember, we created it so you couldn't have a door. It was an open walkway. The one we did
To
right
from
around
the house to
from
the
right
garage.
around the corner from this house that we just
The
did with the garage.
drive-through garage?
No, this is right, literally like 2 houses away, and we approved it with the same, it had a living space above the garage, but we just, it had to have, it couldn't have an enclosed door.
You know, members, I think, let's go through this and then we'll talk about this part at the end. Okay, so does anyone want to speak in favor of the project? Once, twice, 3 times? Anybody? Oh, I got my letter here. DPW has reviewed the submittal. I have no comments. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Anybody want to speak opposed or undecided?
My name is Judy McManus, I live at 21 Orchard Street, direct abutter.
Okay.
We're basically on the Orchard Street side, where what we are gonna look at is the garage. And we look at the lousy one that's there today. And you can get a car in there, it's very tight, but the neighbor that shares it with them has a car in that garage. So I think that's part of that issue. I think he wants the garage. From when I
How
met
does she-
the
how does
owner,
she
she
get
had
there?
said that, she was gonna rebuild it originally.
How does she get to the garage? Walk-ins down
No, they come off
from
the
Bayside.
backside, right here. Yeah, this is a little driveway that runs between the property, it's shared between the 2 homes. Very little. So, I mean, I love what she's gonna do with the property, it definitely needs to be improved, I don't have issues with that. My concern is the height on the garage. You spoke about the neighbor on the corner. When we talked to him, we did not see his plans, and he had told us he was doing a garage. We didn't know it was going up a 2nd floor. We probably would have been here with concerns about that as well. When I look out my house, all I see is the back of his house and his garage here. I've got huge trees from the guy in front of me, and now I'm gonna have another garage on this side. My house faces the ocean that way. So we're losing a lot of just visibility, which is a tough thing. And if, I see that they need 2 car spaces, I'd like to know what they're gonna do with the old one. That makes it free in my eyes, so something's gotta give. It would be nice to get the other one knocked down, or do something with it. It's awful. It's got trees growing through it, the windows are boarded up,
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's not in great shape. So I know they have a parking issue, and I can understand having to do the 2-car garage. I have an issue with the height, and actually they are encroaching on a 20-foot setback to my property as well.
You directly behind the orchard.
Right, if you look at the big plan. What's that rear setback?
It says
Wait,
19.5 from the start on.
I am 21 Orchard. Yes, yep, right there. My name's even there. Right where it says Judy McManus.
There's a survey right there, you guys know.
That's right, I think they surveyed my
Are you?
It's a half a foot, but it,
Right here.
how did we even have that conversation?
I'm I'm the house up behind.
Oh, that one there, okay, yeah.
26
But-
feet, 13
As
feet.
the hill rises up,
Mhm.
wouldn't you be looking over?
Not when she goes up that high.
What about the existing house?
We can just see over the tip of that roof.
Yeah, because I don't think this would be going any higher than that.
But it's gonna be a big flat roof and a little window and a roof.
Closer.
It's closer too.
I was told that everybody had been
They
contacted.
did, no, she did. She went around and shared with everybody. It was tough. We went back, my husband and I went back and forth on it a lot, and we were concerned about it. I said, this is just a bit much. When we realized what had happened on the other corner, I said, we're gonna really be blocked in there. It's a little tough. No problem with the rest of the building, it's just that's a little bit high. I can't say much, she's not going 35 feet, which is a good thing.
Can we take off the
Actually,
top?
she is.
Well, I wouldn't want to say without consulting, right?
No, it's 2. Sorry, I looked at the requirement.
I know.
I think
That's
maybe
what we
give you
did
a
too.
heart
We
palpitation.
can have you come back after you talk to your client.
Okay.
And then maybe we could get the.
I'd also look at if the rear setback is only a half a foot, would, maybe coming back off, it's right now, you're asking for a half a foot variance on the rear setback.
What's that, Brian?
It's, the rear setback, you're asking for, it's 19 and a half feet.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Why not just
Yeah.
come back to half
No,
foot?
actually, it's a corner lot,
Okay.
so that
Fine.
setback is 13 instead of 20.
No, that's the side, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm talking rear.
Yeah,
Ms. McManus, if you do come back, could you bring some pictures of that perspective of your house?
certainly.
Just on the phone.
Yep.
Or even if you don't come back, you can always send them in.
Okay.
You can
Yep,
email them in.
and we can do that, certainly.
Why don't we do that?
All right, gentlemen, I'd like to request a continuance in 2 weeks from tonight.
How May 10th?
I'm going to make it 4 weeks from tonight,
4 weeks from tonight?
just to be on the safe side.
Yep,
May 24th.
Thank you.
May 24th.
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Thank
Let's,
you.
make a motion for that?
Mr. Chairman, regarding case 16-022, Paulette Chevalier for a variance to attach a two-story garage to the existing house at the street line on the premises number 153 Bayside Road. I request that, I make a motion to grant a postponement until May 24th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
See you then.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Now, who
He's from Stevens from the planning department. I'm going to continue to go home to the birthday party. So you enjoy.
we shall, wish her a happy birthday.
I will.
I'm almost positive that was the conversation we had
Thank
that
you.
night, because we talked a lot
I'm
about
leaving
that.
You're done.
Bye, Stevie, I'll see you later.
I was down one part today.
Good luck.
No, I did.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
All right, well,
Right, so let's try.
See you in a few weeks, Chris.
Okay, sorry.
This,
This is obviously.
well, yeah, but is it,
Good night.
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll talk then. We gotta get an education here, Mr. Chair.
Well,
Everybody listen to Mr. Stevens.
well, you leave. I'll send you a report.
I gotta take my daughter out for rodeo.
Happy birthday.
13 months.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Mr. Stevens, how are you?
Good, how are you today?
Nice to meet you.
So good to see you. Thank you, my name is Rob Stevens with the City of Quincy Planning Department, and I wanted to thank you all for allowing us a little space on your agenda tonight. We don't have a big dog and whistle show on climate change, but I did want to acknowledge my colleague, Julie Conroy, from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. So we're here before you tonight because for the last year in the planning department, we have been analyzing the effects of climate change here in our city. We first were able to get a local technical assistance grant from MAPC to start looking into this issue, and we were able to supplement that with a state coastal zone management grant last summer. What that has allowed us to do is to do a vulnerability analysis here in the city of Quincy on effects of climate change. Now, what is climate change? It's a few different things. The most common is sea level rise, and I'm sure all you folks have picked up on some of that information through magazines, TV, and the like. Other effects of climate change also include heat island effects. It includes precipitation, frequency, and the amount of precipitation. I think a big example of that is the 3 blizzards we had last year. We also had some flooding back in 2010. So it's the stuff that's falling from the sky, it's the stuff that's coming in from the ocean. There's heat island effects and the like. We're here today because in the planning department, I've done site plan review and special permits on planning board cases. And I know we look at parking and drainage systems as sort of 2 of our big areas for review. And with the drainage systems, that deals into the stormwater and the like. We're here to discuss, and my colleague Julie will kind of get into some specifics, but we're engaging all of the land use boards, not just the zoning board. We'll be in front of Concom next week and the planning board after that. We wanted to just gauge each board You guys are the experts that are looking at these cases. You're seeing them, every 2 weeks. And, we wanted to pick your brains a little bit. Are there areas where you guys are concerned when you're reviewing cases? I saw one was on was in the floodplain special permit tonight. So are there things with these reviews, and I'm not picking on the case tonight, I'm just, in general, that, you could voice, some input to us for us to take a little bit of a closer look analysis. We do believe, or we have planned a planning charrette open to the general public for May 14th. It's Saturday. It'll be held at the Quincy High School from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. All you folks are invited to attend. We'll do a sort of we'll start with a big, large group presentation and then break out into a lot of smaller sessions on different aspects of climate change. We're looking to finish up the vulnerability assessment a little bit later this spring and turn that into a climate action plan. I believe that document, once completed, would be communicated to all of the members and all the land use boards, and that will be a guiding document to help you guys moving forward in the future, and for the city in general. And it will initiate a lot of policy discussions, but it will get the city of Quincy on the map with regard to this issue that I believe is affecting us today. And with that, I'd like to hand this off to my colleague Julie. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing us to come tonight and talk to you about this. I know it's a controversial issue, it's a big issue, but the good news is that we're being very proactive in taking on this work in Quincy, and this is a pilot project for us in the sense that we're able to apply a lot of cutting edge modeling and research that we've been working with the city of Boston on, and also work that we did in preparing our regional climate strategy to develop some real, we call them, no adverse impact or win-win type of implementation strategies that, regardless of the reason, it will be best for the city in various different reasons, whether it's for business and economy or aesthetics or residential ways of life. So what we have done thus far, as Rob said, and I'll focus in, I think, on things that you might be more interested in particular is looking into coastal zone flooding. And I know that the city has gone through remapping, working with FEMA, but what we're looking at is actually applying the latest and greatest data that we've been working on advisory group with academics within in and around New England to try to come to basically a consensus on data with regard to impacts for New England and for this region. And using that data, we then are applying it in different ways, different methodologies, and one in particular is working with the Woods Hole group, who put together the model, they called it a coastal inundation model for the Central Artery project, so with MassDOT. I think it was a stroke of luck that we, had a relationship with Woods Hole group and said, could we use this and run it for Quincy? Because we knew that Quincy was within the area that they first applied the model. So your community is going to be one of the first to actually have this run. So what we're looking at is areas of coastal inundation due to wave action, due to sea level rise, any dynamics of the coastal system that's going to go above and beyond what you're seeing today and above and beyond what you see in the firm maps. Even having a conservative measure of that, the storms that were applied in this model were over 100 and some odd, variations of storms, primarily looking at nor'easters, because that's the type of storms that affect here. And so I personally find it to be a really interesting and critical tool. We are then going to take that information and really apply it to what's going to happen to the economy potentially, what will happen within the built environment, what will happen also to your natural systems. The other reason I was very excited to work in Quincy is because although there's, real ultra-urban areas within the city, there's also a lot of natural coastal areas that are somewhat protected and preserved in their state. Whether it's Wollaston Beach, yes, that's been renourished, and that is a more of a man-made type of, system at this point. It's still an area that is functioning as a coastal protection barrier. So we're obviously going to be looking at how do we protect those areas. So in summary, as Rob said, I really would love to hear your feedback on, you're the ones who are hearing about these cases within flood zones, thinking about changes to, essentially variances to the development structures within the city, and how could we assist that process better? In addition to the coastal modeling and flooding, we're also going to be looking at inland flooding. That's an area that even in the academic community, working with Harvard, MIT, UMass Boston, that's not quite an inland model yet for determining an extent of floodplain based on climate conditions, but we're working on it. We also, as Rob said, will be modeling where there are real concentrations of heat based on impervious coverage, so areas that are not natural and will not be able to absorb heat. And what will that do to the population, to effects on infrastructure, et cetera. So I'm just really curious to hear, how could this help you? What could we focus on? And I guess if there's any questions about the work that we're doing, please let me know.
I have a general question that we've come across here on a couple of occasions, that if we deny a building, either to be widened or the footprint changes or the elevations, the owner sometimes will take it to court, and then the court will contradict our orders, which is futile in my, we think that we're doing the best for the areas, and the coastal areas, the wet areas, or whatever it is, and then we just say, well, we understand that the person has a difficult time with it, but then when the judge comes back and says no, grant whatever the person requested, we're powerless
They
at
don't
that
understand
point.
it anymore.
Right, but
If we had this report as to why we said no, because this is what's gonna happen, that would be a great tool.
And they send some of these cases as though we're just denying them because we don't like them, or, the neighbors are objecting to it, but I think that the land court has to have some idea of the background and the research that's done by the city on why these rejections are taking place. I'm not saying we reject a lot of them or all of them, but there are occasions, I can't think of any, I think there was two down in Wollaston a number of years back that we just flat said no, and they ended up going to court, and the court overturned our decision and said no, that has to be granted, because that's the way that, that we feel we're telling you, is to grant them the relief that they're asking for.
Wow.
Like down the Strand.
Yeah, I think there was a couple on the Strand that, and what happened is the original plan that came to us, what they weren't willing to modify it to comply with what's being built in the wet areas and, in the flood areas. Because then they couldn't make the height elevation and whatever else, whatever the other issues were there.
Wow.
So, I think that that's something that our reviews, I don't think the people that do the reviews at Public Works, I think that they make suggestions to us and let us know that, the area is kind of, you might want to look at this a little bigger, or bring in somebody else to do a little bit more research on it before you carry away with it.
I think that's a really good point, is that, we sit here and the opponent, the applicant, has an engineer, and we don't.
Right, okay.
And so, they have their engineers, they have a license, we, basically lay people, a bunch of lawyers, actually.
Speak for yourself,
Oh my God.
Obviously, we know nothing.
So we know nothing. So it's kind of a hard thing for us to make these important decisions based on not a lot of information except one-sided information.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm too, to the point, a lot of the smaller residential stuff, it's the people who are for or against, it's really just the out the window issues. They just wanna know that their backyard's not gonna flood or the basement's not gonna flood. And obviously, you know, you displace land, you displace water right behind it. And that's a reality I think most homeowners in Quincy deal with. I think on the larger scale of the larger projects that we've especially seen over the last, you know, couple of years, there's probably some ways in which you guys can help us in terms of the impact that they'll have on topography, on whatever, you know.
Whatever you can give us to back us up to deny them when denied.
Well, not even necessarily denial, but how to make them a better neighbor, or how to make them a better ecological neighbor. Like, I mean, you know, you throw a 140 unit development that's gonna, you know, that's
On what was 8 units before.
yeah, that's on 40,000 square feet. You know, I mean, we're not climatologists. We don't know what impact that has. We, you know, like you said, we know traffic and parking and
they're coming in with large, complex reports on stormwater runoff, displacement, impervious and impervious, and it's enough for them to hold their hat on, but I don't have someone as smart as you sitting back to me going, they're full of crap. We don't have it. We rely on it and discuss it if it gets the state test, but, you know.
I mean, they have metrics that they have to hit, so don't get me wrong, like, it's not like, but we're not seeing that at the approval process. They're required to meet those as they go, you know. We're just getting the plans for that approval and what, you know, and then they have to meet those guidelines. But at the same time, there might be X number of things that we should be looking at in terms of water runoff that we're unaware of, or, you know, we just know how it potentially may impact the neighborhood.
Okay.
More recently, the reviews that we're getting from the engineering are more detailed.
Very much more.
The fellow that's writing the review now
is the first of the year, yeah.
He's been very, very good about the approach that he's used, you know, put the things that are necessary.
Okay.
Is this
You know?
Chang?
Yes, right, yeah.
So, one part I neglected to tell you about the coastal zone management grant is we have activated a internal working group of just city folks. You know, I felt that, you know, one of the lines I used on, you know, where we've come in or where planning has come in on this issue is, you know, we've seen all of the glaciers melting and breaking off. But what's really happened here in the recent months and even the last few years is there's this sort of a lot of data is being available now at the local level. So now we're sinking our teeth into it. We've established a working group of city folks from all of the relevant departments that have gotten together about half a dozen times to discuss these issues because it is brand new. And it is policy, you know, it has policy implications. So no doubt, I think I feel great because I'm hearing a little bit more. You're getting more from Chang since we've been meeting. You know, that's great. We on the planning board side of it have active peer review on just about every case. And you know, what's interesting, and we floated with our one of my colleagues there, Margaret Hoffman, this idea of, you know, cases that require, you know, multiple approvals, whether it be zoning, planning, or Concom, that we get a independent peer review report on some key elements, such as a stormwater plan, that we can all use. Because I'll tell you one thing, you know, we can't dictate what board they go to first, but there's been a few cases for me. Exactly, they play us, right? So, but we've seen, we've had the independent peer review the stormwater report and significantly change it to the point that we have to make a condition that it goes back to the Director of Inspectional Services for determination on whether they need to amend their Concom order of conditions, because it was significantly changed.
It started, we've seen it a lot lately, mostly it's because of the cost of the peer review at the planning board level. They're coming here to get a stink test first and see what we think we're gonna do.
Right, so we've been talking to Jay, and we hope to improve this and I think have a more coordinated approach to develop it. That's, I think, in general, but I think this issue in the floodplain, and, you know, to hear that you guys are not supported with full engineering support on the stormwater system, you know, that is a weakness.
Well, we get reports from engineering, but
I've seen
We
the
can't, yeah, we
stormwater
can't
reports
weed
there.
through them, I mean.
Right.
I can't.
And I can't sit
I'm
and
not an
argue
engineer.
with the stormwater engineer as to, because I'm,
Yeah, I'd be talking out of my bus.
Well, having a coordinated approach, as mentioned, is something that we recommend.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, it's-
We're just assuming that what the engineering has given us is, it has to be abided by at every level before the permit is issued to let them build. And that the stormwater management has jumped through all the hoops that are necessary to make the system function. And that's, I mean, that's the way that I look at it. If they're reviewing it and they have the technical,
Correct.
you know,
Yeah.
that they're gonna be forced to comply with what the engineering section's telling them.
And I do think they stepped up their game. They did adopt the new stormwater ordinance, so.
Right.
How does Quincy community impact all your, is that just in city buildings? Does that work in any private development?
Well, we have the stretch code, which is,
Yeah.
that's more on the energy conservation
Okay.
side,
Okay.
which is not continuing to contribute to the greenhouse gas
Yeah.
emissions.
Yeah.
So that is very much a climate change action.
And so is that something that you're reviewing and planning for when these buildings, because we don't talk about anything like that here. so.
aside from
No,
building
we
it close
don't.
to the T.
Yeah, on the buildings,
the
that goes
bus-
to the building code and the
Okay.
inspectional.
So that just
services.
goes straight in,
Yeah.
And that's up to
the
them to
approvals.
TOD.
Yeah.
follow that. Yeah.
One question I have is we're noticing developments, large-scale developments coming in where there's ledge now. And the impact, how expansive is the impact when they take that ledge out and build in there? As far as the systems that are around the ledge? You know, I mean, like up in the old quarry areas or up on Granite Street and, I can't think, off of Tilson Road up there, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's got to impact the surrounding areas, correct?
Yeah.
To remove that ledge and
Of course, planning.
runoff and.
Just approved the Granite Street project where they're gonna be blasting ledge, you know, guys.
That was the board.
They,
I mean, is that-
they complied, they met the parking requirement, and they they did the test borings, we had them do borings into the rock, and
Yeah.
we got a demo plan.
So here's the question, here's, in a big general picture of things, while we watch the glaciers melt, the regulations are not keeping up with that. And so have to abide by what we have, the ordinances that we have, knowing darn well that flood variance that we just gave is not gonna stand up.
No, it's reactive, it's
Yeah.
not proactive.
So that's part of what we hope to recommend. Within, there'll be an action plan, which is, who's going to be responsible for these. But
Right.
the general recommendations that we will make will include changes to all sorts of different ordinances and their
Just don't let
associated
FEMA see those
regulations.
maps.
It's just a matter of whether that's something that can really be politically,
Well, this is part of the back and forth. There's a whole host of building code or zoning recommendations, and what feels right for Quincy, and that's, that's sort of the process we're going through right now. I would say even, to contribute, and maybe I should go on that side, but we're seeing a lot of stuff that has the parking underneath, and that is designed to get get its feet wet.
Yeah.
So it's designed to take in water.
yeah.
The cars might get damaged, or you move your car and then it drains, there's no mechanicals there, and life is good. So I've seen, engineering or architects sort of outsmart the flood zone, and I'm just curious about that.
Yes,
We had one tonight.
That was us tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
25 Dorchester Street. That was-
Yeah.
There's
I think
ways
the
to
one
live
on
with
School
water.
Street we did.
Yeah, the School Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one had its feet wet, none of that huge area, and they came up to the front.
I mean,
Yeah.
that you have to have both. That you have to be able to quote live with living with water. You can't just abandon all areas of development clearly, and so that's part of the recommendations is how do you elevate buildings, how do you address retrofits, how do you provide green areas surrounding where water can come in and come out. But yes, there is also how do you change zoning so that there are areas that in time might be different. They may not have certain, capabilities for development.
So what you would do is you would expand the parking where the basements are now permitted, and you just go a little bit further away from the water, the coast,
Right.
like another 8 blocks up,
Right.
and then say if you're gonna rebuild this, then you should put parking in the ground, on the ground floor and bring your stuff up.
Right, that happened, we worked in a number of different communities, we worked in Situate, we worked in Hull, and we put zoning in place in Hull where if there's any redevelopment, the first floor has to be able to be completely flooded, so
Right.
parking, plus maybe like an open air market. You know, you can have areas of transient sort of economic activity as well. But, you know, that area can get flooded in, but yet the, investment on top is hopefully intact.
Gotta get that hotel in that parking lot.
Now, I gotta tell you something, a little side story here. I used to go with my family down to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. And 15 years ago, all the new houses were on stilts. And then houses started to get bigger, more expensive. Suddenly they're putting living quarters down on the first level, the bottom level, which usually
Between the stilts?
No, they're not building the stilts anymore. Because the economic factor of being able to have so many more rooms and you can rent the house for so much more. And you go, you look at it, and say, this is very nice, until the next hurricane comes and it's all gone.
It's so interesting that it raised a very good point. They had it right.
They had it right first.
And now we're catching up to that.
Yeah, my sister lived out there, and, you know, I
You live
remember
right.
even some of the roadways get washed out with
Yeah.
the storm
It's
surge.
the same on the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Well, the hurricane doesn't even need to hit, it can just go right off.
Right, it doesn't have to hit
it.
Right, just blow it in with water.
Sure.
and
I mean,
rain.
it's a thing
Yeah, I
with
know.
stretch of
That's wind,
sand.
baby.
Yeah.
They have
Let that wind and water go.
They have a road there.
Excluded anyways out there.
They have to rebuild the road. It's the only road in and out on the Hatteras Island.
I insure a lot of new development down in Florida, on the
Yeah.
coast of Florida, and the buildings that we do are all not necessarily on stilts, but the living space that's on the bottom is either, there's no mechanicals down there, but it's your garages, it's your, like you said, your transient living space, so you can move it really quickly.
I didn't
And
care
they're
for
all
mechanicals down.
concrete
Replace the
structure that are
mechanicals.
all
Bring in a new furnace
eligible
and
to take on
go.
Cat 5.
My living space.
Well, you sort of fall
Going
back
at
on, you
$2
know,
million
the
to
city's
build.
public health and public safety.
Yeah.
I would say this, Julie mentioned it, we have this Woods Hole group, which is an offshoot of the Institute. They've done the modeling, Mass DOT's hired them to do the modeling along the entire eastern Massachusetts, so Mass DOT can analyze their infrastructure, highways, bridges, and the tunnels and trains. We just, the luck of timing, they had Quincy done already. We contracted directly with Woods Hole and they extracted Quincy for us. So we actually got Quincy before the state got, what they were paying for. One of the unique things about mapping is a lot of times on the climate stuff, you see 2050, 2100. The Woods Hole group used 2030 and 2070 as their two benchmark years. And when I think of
I don't want to
2030,
see that.
when I think of 2030, that's only 15 years away. That's still in my career. I'm not retired yet. So that's real. And 2070 probably just outdistances me, but that's clearly my kids and grandkids. I hear that the 2100, I'll never be around for that, but I thought it was very interesting and a smart move by the Woods Hole group to pull those dates
Make it
back.
more credible.
And 15 years, and this is, I would say, I'm proud to have gotten the support from the mayor's office to start this initiative. We've done it very quietly again because it's so brand new. But Cambridge and Boston have vulnerability assessments. So we're gonna join those two communities and we form a block inside Boston Harbor. I'm hopeful once this is in place, our neighbors to the south will continue this trend. And, because this is gonna be a group effort. No matter what we do, it's still gonna flood, all around us. I would say DPW is doing a lot of work, or starting to do a lot of work on this. We mentioned marshes. Marshes are great green infrastructure barriers. I see a blend of gray and green infrastructure. I see the city fortifying and buttressing our development, at least for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And The other thing with Public Works is they're also exploring, Ty and Bond had designed a artificial reef to get dropped right off the coast. So through this initiative, we're going to hopefully start promoting some of this new technology to try to help with the wave attenuation. And we think we're positioning the city in a great spot. I also think, federally and at the state level, regulations are coming in this area, and by starting this initiative, hopefully we'll go. But we're taking a step forward.
We are.
We're being proactive, not reactive.
Yes.
Very critical.
Like that one, huh, Jeff?
That's interesting. That's very interesting. I remember the first year I was on this board, and we had engineers talking about the 100-year flood. And I remember,
Just shut it off.
We'll shut this off, right?
He just talked about his father-in-law. His father-in-law.
And sort of an overlooked piece in the water is that heat island effect. What does the heat do? That starts to change our flora and fauna a little bit. Our vegetation, our animal life. I think of the Asian long-horned beetle, and all the trees need to be cut down out of Worcester County because of that. Instances of invasive species, whether it's plants or animals, mosquito-borne illness. We got triple E. That's kind of tied into this. I mean, there's some projections on that, that says we'll have a North Carolina ecology here in 100 years.
Right. But there was a nice article in the New York Times last week that says the problem with global warming is that people are liking it so far.
Yeah.
Because they want milder winters, even though that's today.
Yeah.
But so.
I don't like climate change. I like
Excellent.
skiing.
Thank you.
That much.
Thank you again very much for giving us some time.
We found it very
We
interesting.
appreciate you
Thank
listening to us, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and from my perspective, obviously, I'll work with Rob on this, but, when we are putting forward some recommendations for zoning elements, we'd love your feedback at that point. One of the things that we're having trouble with is timing. We need to get, some things forward, but, if there's some specific recommendations that you'd like to see and, get some feedback
Well,
on
the
that.
councilors, I think they rewrote the zoning regs.
4 years ago.
It's about 4 or 5 years ago, so.
Yeah.
2007.
Right.
11. was
Yeah,
the
so their committee to do that was,
Had no zoning members on it, by the way.
I don't think so.
McNamee.
Was he on it?
Well, he was a former zoning member.
Well, yeah, but, different hat.
We have in the planning department, we have a list of recommended, we call them housekeeping changes, just some clarifications for the zoning code. Hopefully, this could lead to a new zoning initiative, that could capture.
Essentially, it's gonna have to.
Right, and Julie, I sort of talked to Jay Dugan, the Director of Inspectional Services, on this. It's interesting. We'd love your feedback. If you have any more, I think the proper way to do it, though, would to cycle it through the secretary, and then back over to us. I'd be more than happy to engage a little bit, but you guys are board members. There's a little bit of a protocol in there. So zoning changes. I can clearly work with Jay and work on that. If you go through that channel.
Well, personally, I'm not adverse to send them and, if you want some comments, assuming we can get at it and get a look at it, I'm not adverse to that. We do it with our legal codes, and we might as well do it with the zoning codes too.
That's great. I mean, one possible way, would be to maybe communicate something, through the secretary to you. You guys would just have to individually send it back through, or, we could always pop up on the agenda real quick again.
All right.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Really,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, right, you're welcome.
You got to adjourn.
Yes.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's not recorded, except for him.
Were you voting yes on that? You wanted?